It's difficult to imagine how these two people, depicted here behind me, could be so evil as to hurt and cause pain and suffering to little children and babies during the second half of the 19th century. Their names are the Reverend Samuel Cotton to the left and Eliza, his wife, to the right. In 1846 they established an institution a few fields away from where I live. Here they neglected children for years and years, neglected them through starvation, by exposing them to the elements, forcing them to sleep on the floor, and treating them with absolute disrespect and disregard. My name is Dr. Andrew Rinn. I'm a retired medical practitioner and a local historian. I became aware of this story as a child growing up and began to research it with my co-writer, Veronica Bagnall. I have just published a book called Reverend Psychopath about these people. He was never out of the papers because he constantly broke the law, and when he wasn't breaking the law, he was writing letters to the paper, bringing himself to national attention. He was a recidivist criminal who loved to see his name in the paper. Willful neglect and starvation and exposing children to the elements and to suffering was their specialty. They were given a bowl of soup made from sheep's head about once every week, and they were fed the rest of the time on gruel and porridge. On Saturday nights, they were forced to take a bath before they attended church the next day. This was a cold bath, so cold indeed that they had to break the ice during the winter before that bathed them. A child died from hypothermia under their care. The history of this place is well documented and can be easily followed in the national archives of the local newspapers and the national newspaper. The treatment of children who were born out of wedlock during the 18th century and indeed into this century is a shameful history. They were normally looked after by religious orders, the Catholic Church via nuns, and in this case, unusually, by the Church of Ireland under the care of the Reverend Samuel Cotton and Eliza. They took in Catholic babies largely who were born out of wedlock and converted them to the Church of Ireland. This was shortly after the famine in Ireland and during very poor times. There was also enormous stigma that went with being born out of wedlock, and women went to enormous lengths to try and hide the fact that they'd had a baby without being married. It was only when the Irish Society for the Protection of Cruelty for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children was established in 1889 that things began to turn right. In 1891, this society sent people into the Akara orphanage to investigate what was going on. What these people reported was truly horrendous and makes for very, very difficult reading. Nonetheless, I felt, and still feel, that this had to be exposed, and that the name of the Cottons should be forever remembered as extraordinarily cruel and careless people, even for the time that they were running their institution. They collected a serious amount of money through charitable donations. He was imprisoned twice once in Mountjoy jail for 6 months, and a further year in Kilkenny prison because he could not refrain himself from treating children with this kind of cruelty and flogging and deprivation and no respect and no love. I think I've said enough about the Cottons for the moment. You please feel free to ask me any questions through my website or through my email, which I have given you here at the top of this little video. If you have any questions or anything to add, I would love to hear from you. Please forgive my hesitance in making this. This is the first live video that I have made, and I will return to this subject again, hopefully with a bit more fluency and clarity. Thank you very much.